On one way, I think you are entering, I'm addressing predominantly to the student now. So for the students, I think these are one of the most exciting times when I look back into, if I may use the word, the entire humanity. I don't have the time to elaborate to make such a strong statement that over the last 5, 7, 8,000 years, why the next 50 years are going to be probably the most defining as far as the humanity what we know today, which is full of opportunities. However, it is also full of unprecedented challenges and many uncharted territories for which there are no answers. And all of you will have to figure out what those answers to the challenges are as you progress on your journey of life. So let me explain to you some of the big changes which you will encounter, which we are also encountering, but you will encounter the full force of it as you go forward there. Probably the most profound change which has happened and is happening is actually the demographic unbalancing of the world. So today, if I were to fast forward from 1800 to 1900, the world population in 1900 was 1.6 billion, and India, the United India, was about 275 to 80 to 90 million people, give or take a few, 5 million here and there. By the time we reached 1950, almost all across the world, population started to increase, but in a manner which was very different. So there are multiple implications of this demographic unbalancing. We have a phenomena where the richest parts of the world are actually aging much faster than what they should, which has a huge impact on what kind of manufacturing can take place, what kind of consumption will take place there. Would they be having any kind of a growth drivers, so to say. So all of these changes, as far as demographics are concerned, you have countries like Japan and Russia will see declining populations. You will see countries, most countries in Europe and USA, who have been the growth drivers because of consumption. Their population aging, they will consume more of healthcare, more of many other products, but not necessarily merchandise. And you have the most populated countries like China and India, which still have to see the full benefits of growth and industrialization. And I will talk about that in the context of India's deficits a few minutes down the line. But this demographic unbalancing has never happened in the entire history of mankind, as we are beginning to see. Until 2060, we would see this impact in a much bigger manner. Maybe by 2100, where I don't think anybody from this audience will be around then, who knows? We could have replacement of complete body parts by then anyway. The second big change, which you're going to experience in your professional lifetime and in the life beyond, is the change which is being wrought upon us in a nicer manner and a disturbing manner by technology. Technology has got two dimensions. One is what I would call as digitization of this world. With digitization of this world, what it basically means, whether it is through the internet, smartphones, data transfers, the ideas, knowledge, attitudes, aspirations, frustrations of people across the world get transmitted in real time. What will be the implication of this democratization of sharing of knowledge and ideas? Again, it is a big question mark. One can argue it's very good, but there could be an alternative view. Does the world really need 7 billion very highly educated people? Can we provide them meaningful opportunities? No answers for this either. The second facet of the technological change, which you will see in full force, are emergence of some truly revolutionary technologies, which are beginning to find its way out of theory and then from laboratories to actual applications. New engineered materials, one of the most fascinating new material, which is likely to make its presence felt in a lot of things what we do, is graphene. Third aspect in technology is fascinating again, but with some question marks, which is rise of what is popularly known as big data. Big data is different from regular data. Analytics has been around for many years, ever since computing has been there. But big data has the power to deploy very complex algorithms with perhaps some kind of artificial intelligence to look into patterns and trends which even a normal human mind cannot intuitively think about. It has got all kinds of applications. The issue is, one, I talked about demographic and balancing, unknown outcomes, but a challenge or an opportunity. Technology unknown outcomes, but both challenges and opportunity there. The third aspect of this, which is very, very unique to the current generation, you. Coming to India, again, there would be there are many, many changes and challenges. I would want you to focus upon three of them. The first one very directly impacts you. Impacts in the sense that while our economy is growing, the composition of our economy is such that it actually cannot absorb the number of university undergraduates or graduates we are wanting to produce. As per the government's own statistics, our gross enrollment ratio is about 18% or 20%. Government wants to take it to 30%. What it basically means is that if we have about 25 million live births per year, we are looking at 5 to 6 million students at least will be graduating with an undergraduate degree every year from India, maybe even more. The economy cannot absorb all such graduates. It's a harsh reality of life. So all of you will have to figure out that beyond degree, what you have to do to stand out and do better. And I will talk about what you should do as a recommendation. So that's the first challenge. Second challenge as far as India is concerned is what I was briefly talking to Sushma-ji about multiple deficits of India for various reasons. Over the last 65 odd years, our deficits in terms of availability of healthcare, availability of quality education, especially at the skills level, quality of water, quality of roads, quality and availability, quantity of energy, housing, and you name whatever else. Each of these have actually increased rather than decreased. These structural challenges of India require very, very non-standard solutions. And hopefully, like Sushma-ji talked about, you at APJ Satya University should be able to come out with solutions which are so radically different, but keeping in view the challenges which India faces. And the third challenge, of course, for India in particular, but the world in general, is environment. With such a large mass of population, with so much consumption taking place, even access to water, access to clean air, access to space, road space in India's context, is going to be a challenge for which there are no easy solutions. So you will have to grapple with all of these. So with these global changes and the challenges and changes in India, what is my message to all of you? Let me give a very small bit of a message to the parents first. Message to the parents would be, contribute if you want to contribute to the society. Do not necessarily micromanage your children's lives. They're in very, very good hands. They're in very good place here. And they have to make their own lives. Now to the students. There. The very first message I would like to give to all of you is get out of the school mode. To use the cliche, it's a long marathon. So use these 4 years at APJ Satya University to equip yourself. You don't need to worry about everything has to be learned in these 4 years. It's like a marathoner who has to build stamina and technique and the resolve to then be able to run that 42 kilometers or whatever, day in and maybe day out. So you need to think, you need to take a pause. Don't just start preparing for GMAT or whatever else after the first term. This is what I'm just saying, that think of it saying, look, do some introspection. Try to discover yourself and say, this is who I am. Only you can find out who you are. Think about what you want to be in life, rather than saying that I got 96% marks in this and I've got 94% marks in that, or I got 8.8 grade point average out of 10. No, that is not your identity. Your identity is about who you want to be. That's your own life. It's your own desire. So spend some time thinking through it. Lastly, just imagine and remember, many of us Hindus believe that we have got any number of lives ahead. There is no evidence whether we have or not. So why not you start by assumption that you have only one life, the life you're currently living there. Why don't you make the full use of this life? Life can have so many dimensions of enjoyment, fun, excitement, challenges, whatever else. What a shame when I come across some very, very bright young people whose only objective in life seems to be doing well professionally, whatever it might mean. And even within the professional satisfaction or professional achievement, they only talk about money and a title. it's such a boring life to live. I can tell you with personal experience, there is so much more to life. So please take these 4 years, not only just learning beyond what you are thinking of doing as far as academics are concerned, but also think about doing all kinds of fun things. It's your life, it's the only life you have. With this message, good luck to all of you.